Rocktagon 27, Way of the Warrior continues. In the 135-pound amateur division, we send it up to Jake to bring out our first fighter.
The following contest is in the Rocktagon MMA Amateur Bantamweight Division, and it is brought to you by Intimidation Clothing. Introducing first, making his way down the aisle into the red corner, please welcome Steve Fairman.
Steve Fairman, second consecutive fighter, making his debut out of Griffin Raw. 34 years old, 5'7", 135 pounds, and he decided a year ago to start training for mixed martial arts to get in shape. He's a computer programmer.
Well, that makes sense.
Right? That's what
Computer programmers are the toughest guys I know.
Well, he wrestled in high school at 119 pounds, and he said, at parties, I'm always the first guy at the end of the night to get into a wrestling match, so why don't I just go to the gym and do it every night?
Right.
Also makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
He's got an 8-year-old girl, Madison. He's married for 9 years, and you know, this is another guy, 34 years old, and decides, hey, I'm gonna get inside the Rocktagon and give it a shot, test my mettle, find out how tough I am.
Well, we're gonna find out how tough he is.
Yeah. And hopefully, you know, he has the same success that his teammate Alex Frank had. As Frank finished that fight quickly with an impressive knockout.
Yeah, very aggressive Alex was, and this early in some fighters' careers, aggression can be a little bit too much for them.
Well, it says something, both these guys coming out of Griffin Raw, much like your gym strong style, there's a lot of top competition there, so this may be his debut in the cage, but he certainly has had his opportunities to fight with some top competition. And let's bring out his opponent.
And his opponent, making his way down the aisle into the blue corner, please welcome Derek Bratton.
Derek Bratton, Martinsville, Indiana, fights for Medieval MMA. Second fight for Bratton. Comes in with a 1-0 record as he fought at Rocktagon 25. Prepare for battle, winning at a split decision. As we take a look at the outdoor option, tail of the tape, Forrest, what stands out to you?
Well, obviously age is a big factor here. Steve being 34 years old and Derek's only 21. But, you know, at 34, in my opinion, you're still in your prime. And if anything, you've got maturity, you know, and fortunately, as you get older, you sometimes you do get smarter. So, so sometimes 21 can be a disadvantage, but we'll see. We'll find out.
You know, you might be right about that, because my parents kept telling me that, and it wasn't until I was older that I realized they were right.
Yeah, you know, there's a saying, youth is wasted on the young.
True, so true. Well, the Rocktagon fighting experience is not wasted on the young, as Steve Fairman making his debut at 34 years old. And let's get the official introductions. Jake Digman, take it away.
The following contest is in the Rocktagon MMA Amateur Bantamweight Division, and it is brought to you by Intimidation Clothing. Introducing first in the red corner, he fights out of Willoughby, Ohio. He weighed in at 134 pounds, representing Team Griffin Raw, making his MMA debut. Please welcome Steve Fairman. And his opponent in the blue corner, he fights out of Martinsville, Indiana. He weighed in at 135 pounds, representing Medieval MMA with an MMA record, 1 win, 0 losses. Please welcome Derek Bratton. This bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds, and when the action begins, your referee is Mr. Victor Ventresca.
Steve Fairman, red fight shorts, black trim. Derek Bratton in the black. Victor Ventresca, third man in the cage. I'm Ryan Cavanaugh, joined by Forrest Petz. And it's Bratton who takes the center of the cage. He's got 1 fight under his belt, and Fairman making his debut. Fairman looks for the shot. Fairman was a high school wrestler, and Bratton immediately chokes up, or locks up the guillotine.
I can't tell if he's got it or not.
Fairman certainly fighting it. He's reaching for the hands, and he's got it broken up, but he catches a knee to the body off the break, and now it's Bratton looking for the takedown.
Yeah, Bratton's got Fairman pinned up against the cage there. I'll tell you what, Derek Bratton's pretty tall for a 135-pounder. He's listed at 5'10".
Fairman looks to have the neck of Bratton, but it's Bratton. He's inside. He's got one butterfly guard. Now he's in the full guard of Steve Fairman.
But Derek Bratton being a bigger fighter, he actually does look pretty big to me for a 135-pound fighter. That sometimes just that big frame, you know, the broad shoulders and just his length can sometimes cause problems to shorter fighters.
Sure. Fairman does a nice job of kicking Bratton off, but that aggressiveness jumps right on him with the right and now lands in right side control, and Bratton locks up a leg as he's sits in his half guard. Fairman was a wrestler at 119, wrestled at 119 as a senior in Punxsutawney, New York. Okay. Well known for the groundhog. And he's back on his, we saw him right away shoot for the takedown. Going back to his chops and does a nice job of tying up Bratton, and he gets the stand-up from Victor Ventresca. So we reach a minute of this amateur fight, three-minute rounds. A left from Bratton, and Steve goes low, teep. Body kick by Fairman.
Nice takedown by Bratton. So far, Bratton's wrestling seems to be making the difference right now.
That's Bratton looking to work in the corner as Fairman tries to stay tight, holding him to him as he tries to regain. And Bratton looks to move to mount here as he moves his left foot over. Unfortunately, for Bratton, it's on the cage side there. Not a lot of room to work with. As Bratton looks to rain down some punches. Body shots. We got 10 seconds in the round. Fairman's going to get out of this round as they are in just what I would call an awkward position.
Yeah, that's an accurate way to describe it. Well, I would have to imagine you would give that round to Bratton.
Yeah, Bratton certainly with the takedowns, and he just didn't lay there with the takedowns. He continued to work, land some punches. Fairman, to his credit, was also very active from the bottom.
Along the back.
Yeah, he composed himself pretty well, but he definitely got the worst of it in the round.
We get a good look at one of the Rocktagon, the lovely ladies of the Rocktagon ring card girls. Derek Bratton from Martinsville, Indiana, being cornered by James Rankin from ComArts here in Cleveland. ComArts 1-0 with Steve Chappell in the first round. You see some of that aggressiveness for us where, you know, Bratton really never gave Fairman a chance to get working.
No, and he looks fresh right now as I watch the two guys in the corner right now. Fairman looks a little bit worn out. I mean, he's still got his legs underneath him, but Derek Bratton definitely age 21 is serving him pretty well right now. For only being his second fight, he's kept himself pretty composed.
Certainly, and throughout the fight, you know, he got the takedown, he knew what to do with it. Really staying active on top, always looking to improve his position. Certainly that has to be 1-0 for Derek Bratton, and I'm sure Jason Dent told Steve Fairman that in the corner. There's the lovely ladies of the Rocktagon. Back to action here, second round, three-minute rounds here. 135-pound Rocktagon amateur division, and Bratton lands a right.
Switched to southpaw for a second, went right back to orthodox.
Bratton certainly looks like more experienced and composed on the feet, more relaxed. Fairman holding his hands fairly tight. And Bratton landing that right hand, but decides to go back to the takedown. And Fairman, who defends, showing good balance there.
Fairman's wrestling background served him on that one. I was just about to say that Fairman was concentrating so much on wrestling and avoiding the stand-up that he was getting out-wrestled. Right now he's got
it looked like he's
sort of an anaconda/guillotine working here.
Almost looked like a Peruvian necktie he was working
there you go.
on there. As he flipped the legs over and he gets out. For a fighter who has no fights, you virtually never see a Peruvian necktie attempted.
No, not in the amateurs.
It's rare to see that in the pros for us, and Steve Fairman just went for it. Bratton again in the top position, and this is where his length comes in handy, because he can stay on top of him and still reach him by posturing up.
he had his neck for a second there.
Looks to take his back, and Fairman wisely catches the right leg of Bratton to prevent him from taking his back, but he's not out of danger here.
But he can scramble and end up on top here, depending on how much he's got in the tank right now.
He needs to move that right leg over, really move his right hip out and go square body to body on Bratton. And Bratton goes the other way and actually takes his back, no hooks in. As the corner of Fairman tells him to scramble, he's just, at this point, I don't know if he has the explosiveness to do that and get out of this position. And Bratton now landing some punches to the face of Fairman. These punches are getting through. Jumps his back, and now he's got the hooks in, looking for the choke. And now he's looking for an arm. He's looking for the left arm of Steve Fairman, trying to flatten him out. And he's got that arm straightened out. But Fairman gets out.
Yeah, Fairman did a good job there of staying composed, working himself free. Let's see what he can do now that he's got a slightly advantageous position. He needs to make up some ground.
Short on time, but he's got the crowd behind him.
He can't afford to lose another round. He already lost the first round.
And there's another takedown. That's been the story of these 2 rounds, is Bratton's ability to take the fight where he wants it, when he wants it. And that's the end of round 2. Forrest, I've got it 2 rounds to 0 for Derek Bratton. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think Fairman gave a better account of himself in that round, but he still dropped the round. So he needs to finish this round, whether he can connect with something and get a knockout, or more likely he's going to need to take Bratton down and work a submission.
Well, the fact that Fairman actually attempted what I would call a high-level jiu-jitsu submission tells me that he knows what he's doing on the ground, and that may be his best opportunity, is to get on top of Bratton and then search for one of those submissions, because he doesn't look like to be the stronger fighter on the feet either, as Derek Bratton.
No, he's definitely not as comfortable. He's definitely more of a wrestler. But yeah, I think his top game, he's going to have to work his top game on Bratton, because like a lot of wrestlers, he doesn't have a great bottom game. I mean, he's protected himself pretty well, and he knows how to work to guard, but he's not going to get a finish, I don't think. Stranger things have happened, but...
Well, I think first, for him to work his top game, he's got to take down Derek Bratton.
Sure.
So far, that's been unsuccessful. And in fact, it's been Derek Bratton who has been imposing his will with his wrestling.
And he's been setting that up with his striking. A lot of times, if you want to get inside, you got to punch your way in.
Excellent point.
But, this is Fairman's first fight, and you learn these kind of things as you go along.
Round 3. Steve Fairman in the red. Derek Bratton, black fight shorts. 3 more minutes to decide the winner. Derek Bratton ducks under the right hand by Fairman and again takes him down.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not coaching Fairman, because I'm the one who said he had to punch his way in, but Bratton timed that punch and took him down. But, Bratton's a pretty complete fighter.
Yeah,
he's doing a good job here.
I would agree. Very promising. Only 21 years of age.
Sure. This only being his second fight.
Sure. And you mentioned his frame, which is 5'10", 135 pounds. There's not a lot of guys in that division that are that tall.
Right.
Which not only could give him an advantage in the fight, but also the preparation. And you're just not used to fighting people that size in actual fights. And you may see him in the practice room, but when it comes to a fight, it's a different world for a guy your weight at 5'10".
Sure, yeah, if you haven't been in there with a guy doing it for real, it's going to be unusual. Frank landed a couple of nice shots there.
And Bratton now. Big right from Bratton. And at that position, Fairman, if you're going to get up, you got to explode up. And he kind of took his time getting up, and he paid for it.
Protect yourself at all times.
Spoken like a true referee. Bratton now looks to have the mount in it, and he looks like he may be
setting up a head and arm choke.
It could be the inverted triangle. Well, inverted triangle, and he rolls to a traditional triangle. But he just doesn't have it. It's very loose.
No, but he's got a pretty good control in this position. He's able to land a few shots.
There's not anywhere Fairman can go from here. And now he looks like he's almost gave him the arm there. And Bratton said, okay, I'll take it. Big punches, and he gives him the arm
there
again.
It is.
He's trying to flatten him out, belly down arm bar. Fairman steps over to relieve that pressure. He's still holding on to the arm underneath there. From our vantage point, we can see it, and Fairman's trying to punch his way out.
Well, Fairman's got top position now, so let's see what he can do. He needs to do something big.
He's got it, and he takes his back. He's got looks to be a body triangle on him as he tries to punch and finish him, and he's got to take the neck here of Bratton. He's hanging over it, tries to shake him off, but he's hanging on.
He can flatten him out and land enough punches. But I was going to say he could get the ref to stop the fight, but he's working the choke instead, but there's 10 seconds.
Derek Bratton survives the third round, a very game Steve Fairman. You said he needed a finish, and he almost got it in the waning seconds of round 3 there.
Yeah, he showed some heart there at the end.
Certainly. Derek Bratton from Indiana coming in and spoiling the debut of Steve Fairman from here in Griffin Rawl, east side of Cleveland, out in Menor, Ohio. Derek Bratton bouncing around. I always like when the fighter does that as we take a look at some of, there's a right hand from Derek Bratton, and it was kind of the story, Bratton being on top and Fairman unable to get back to his feet. But I like it, to my point, I like it that the fighter's out there bouncing around saying, I got more left.
Sure.
And it looks like Jake Digman has the scorecards, and let's make it official. Send it up to Jake.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for both of these Rocktagon warriors. After 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards, where all 3 judges score this bout 30-27 for your winner by unanimous decision, Derek Bratton.
I'm here with your winner, Derek Bratton. Derek, for about 3 rounds and 2 minutes and 40 seconds, you dominated and controlled that fight. You put him where you wanted him, when you wanted him. And then at the end there, he was working for a choke. Was he close at any point to getting that choke in?
Not really. He had his arm around my neck, but I had my chin tucked most of the time, and I was turning away from it, so I kept it from getting in deep.
Derek, you went for a triangle, you transitioned to an armbar, you could never really lock up that submission. How important was it for you to try to finish this fight tonight?
I wanted to finish. Nobody likes to go to decision, but I'll take a win either way.
I know you're from Indiana and you just beat a hometown guy here, but you're 2-0 now inside Rocktagon. Who would you like to thank?
Anybody they want me to face, I'll fight anybody.
Anybody you want to thank?
Rocktagon, James Jada, my family for coming out, and everybody that helped me train.
One more time, let's hear it for your winner, Derek Bratton.